Hello, welcome back to the channel. Have Roots, Will Travel. My name is Lisa Elvin Skolkari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last few years, I've been featuring each fille du roi, or king's daughters, and getting to know their stories a little bit better. There are over 700 of them. We're now on episode 246. Can you imagine? We've come a long way. We've got a long way to go. And before we begin, let me show you ways you can support the channel. The first three keep you in the know. Subscribe, like, and notify. The next three are ways to help the channel grow. We have Coffee and Patreon that are external platforms. And then on my Have Roots Will Travel website, we have a PayPal button that you can press and donate what you'd like. So thank you to all of you who have done so thus far. I really appreciate your support and all the words of support and also the financial support. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for helping me keep this channel going. Thank you. So let's get started and explore episode number 246. Today's episode is episode 246. Francoise Pednel, she is a viewer request, but she also happens to be the great-grandmother of Madonna. I did produce a Madonna video about her French connections. Have a look in the playlist and see if this is something you're interested in, and explore Madonna's connection to our Francoise Pednel. Francoise was born in 1647 on the island of Ré, Île de Ré, in a small commune called Lois. Now, her parents were Pierre Pednel and Marie d'Est. You can see that that island is part of the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region, la région de Nouvelle-Aquitaine, and the département of Charente-Maritime. And inside that, you can see there's a circle that I circled the island. And inside the island is the very small community of Lois. That church that you see up there, that is the church that would have existed when she would have been baptized in that church. So if this is your descendancy, obviously this is definitely a pilgrimage. The island became English in 1154 when Eleanor of Aquitaine became Queen of England through her marriage to Henry Plantagen. The island reverted back to France in 1243 when Henry III of England returned it to Louis IX, don't you love all this stuff, through a treaty. In 1360, however, with the Treaty of Brittany, Ile de Ré briefly became French again until the 1370s. Became English again, until the 1370s. At the age of about 22, I don't know if her parents passed away, but she climbed aboard the Jean-Baptiste and arrived in New France on June 30th, 1669. And the groom that she would select and who would select her, his name, Maurice Arrivé, he was born 1608. So you can see he was quite a bit older than our fille du roi. So he was born in a commune called Saint-Denis-la-Chavasse in France. Remember that commune means village or town. Parents Luca Arrivé and Marguerite Margot. He was born in the Pays de la Loire region of France that you can see on your upper left. And inside that region, on your bottom right, we have Vendée. It is very close to La Roche-sur-Yon, which is part of it's kind of a bedroom community, if you will. You can see the beauty of the aerial shot I was able to find on the internet to kind of depict how pretty it all is. And this particular village is being really around since about the 13th century, which I think is when this church of Saint Denis is founded. And we can lay claim to the fact that it was an important part of the French history, but as time has gone on, it's a sleepy little town now. And it just, like I said, more of a bedroom community than anything else. But certainly when he was there, when Maurice was there, it was a mover and a groover kind of place. And so he was someone who said, okay, I'm going to go to New France and see what I can see. Maurice would come to New France most likely before 1654. He was a master mason, so his talents were most likely very desired. And he would go on to marry a fille à marier, the marriageable girl, and that is part of the series that I do concurrent to the Filles du Roi. Let's have a look at his life before he met Francoise. So Jacquette Thoreau was his wife. They did not have any children. And so Maurice is listed on the 1666 census, 65 years old, a master mason. And Jacquette is 55. They have a domestic mason who's also an engagé, working off A, and another engagé, Juliet. And in the 1667 census, we have Maurice, we have Jacquette. They own, on the 1667 census, it has 5 beasts or cows. And then we have 12 arpents, about 10 acres of land that he owns. So isn't it amazing that in the 1666 census, he's 65, and by 1667, he's lost 10 years. So that's pretty good. So, or gained 10 years, as the same thing with his wife. 1666, she's 55, and now she's 50. Interesting. You really have to pay attention. Maurice's wife would pass away, and on the 2nd of June, 1670, on the island of Orleans, at the Saint Famille Church, they were married. Maurice, who was at that point 62 years old, and Francoise was 23. So huge gap in age. We don't often see it. It did happen a great deal of time, but it was interesting. So this is 1670. Let's see how they build their lives. So obviously Maurice had settled. He had land and property. He was someone who was extremely comfortable, I suspect, and was a very good provider for Francoise. And she was intelligent enough to say, hey, you know what, this is a good man, and he's got some resources, and I'll be taken care of. So let's explore a little bit about Ile d'Orléans. Ile d'Orléans is located in the St. Lawrence River, about 3 miles east of downtown Quebec City. The island was one of the first parts of the province to be colonized by the French, and a large percentage of French Canadians can trace their ancestry to some of the early residents of this island. The island of Orleans wasn't always known by that name. It was known by Grande Île, Sainte-Marie, Saint-Laurent. And I tell you this in case you come across in your research those names, know that we're talking about Ile d'Orléans. I also want to stress on the bottom right here, you can see all of the different sectors of the island. So it's very important to know. I'm going to list them off from the tip, Saint-Pétronille on your left. Then we have Saint-Pierre, Saint-Famille, Saint-François, Saint-Jean, and Saint-Laurent. So all of those are extraordinarily important to understand where your family was settled. And many times they would move along the island. So where they were married and where they died would be a different place. And so it's important for you to know the actual sector of where they came. These are some of the pictures I took this past summer, in summer of 23, and just was amazed by the beauty, and the island and the museum that's there is incredible. So please have a look at some of the resources that are available on the internet for looking up the island and all of that. It's just a remarkable sight to see and to presence. And when you're there, when you're driving there, I did anyway, I truly felt I was a part of history. I want to go back. It's that intense a feeling. I didn't get to do all of the different sectors, so that's part of my, saying to my husband, well, we didn't do them all. So if you do travel there, have an itinerary. That's my best advice. Make sure you're not overwhelmed, and say, okay, I need to see this, I need to see that, and I didn't do that. I was just overwhelmed. I was just so excited to be there. And I knew that Saint Famille was the big one. But after I left, I said, oh, and it was a very busy, busy summer Saturday. So that was part of it too. But have a look at that and see where your people are from. So they would go on to have 6 children. Remember that Maurice did not have any children until very late in life. And Francoise would give him this greatest of gifts. He would have Maurice, who married Anne Lesney de la Liberté, and have 6 children, 3 of whom made it to adulthood. Simon married Marie Catherine Garand and have 1 child who made it to adulthood. Francoise married Madeleine Lesney de la Liberté, who is the sister of Anne. So 2 brothers married 2 sisters. So Madeleine Lesney de la Liberté and had 10 children, 6 of whom made it to adulthood. Marguerite would marry Olivier Levesque and have 1 child who did not make it to adulthood. Joseph would pass away before the 1681 census, and Antoine would die at age 13. And let's have a look at that 1681 census. We have Maurice arrivé 80 years old, Françoise, his wife, 34. His children, Maurice, Simon, François, Marguerite. They have 1 bœuf, or cattle. Then they have 7 arpents, about 5 to 6 acres of land on the island. Maurice would die at age 79, even though it said 80 at the 1681 census. We know that he was born in 1608. He and Françoise would have been married 17 years. Françoise would pass away 19 years later, and she did not remarry. She was 59 years old, and between her and Maurice, she would leave 26 descendants, which doesn't sound like a lot, but think about it. Madonna and my viewer are still there. So it's one of those lines that started off small, but probably grew and grew and grew later on in the generations. You never know. Here are some of my favorite resources. I want to talk to you a little bit about WikiTree. WikiTree is a fabulous common kind of ground. It's free. Put in your ancestor. You can join up, and it doesn't cost anything. And certainly you can contribute as well, but certainly the contributions of other people, they are religious in terms of looking for mistakes and errors and that sort of thing. So it really is a good source to begin your research and see what they've got out there. So have a look at that. So this is the monument on the island of Orleans. These are all my own pictures that I took in that summer 23 trip to Ile d'Orléans. And you can see, right, I closed up on the actual names, all of the 300, pioneers. Maurice Arrivé, Francoise Pednel. Even though he was married before, they chose Francoise Pednel, probably because she left a descendancy, and they were part of that, and would remain on the island until they weren't. And it's just really nice to know that there is a permanent marker there. And because of Françoise, Maurice has a legacy, and that is kind of a really neat. So it's never too late. It's never too late to begin your life again. And so ends episode 246. Françoise Pednel, I think, was a very special lady. She had the bravery to come to New France and to marry a man much older than her. And she was able to form a family and create descendants. And she actually is on that Ile d'Orléans Pioneer Monument. So all that she accomplished in a relatively short life was just amazing. So I think she is a woman of substance. I truly admire her, and I can't wait to hear, because she left only 26 descendants as of 1729, I'm fascinated to know, other than my viewer who requested her, I am fascinated to know how many descendants are out there of this lovely lady. So let me know, please, in the comments below. And I also want to thank my patrons and supporters for being with me and supporting me as much as you do. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And until I see you on episode 247, I will bid you adieu and au revoir for now.